Hello. Welcome channel. Today we will learn about an extremely serious and shocking issue. Gabi Hernandez has discovered a horrifying truth that the person she has trusted all this time, Tony DiMera, may actually be his evil twin brother Andre DiMera in disguise. And even more concerning is that Theo Carver is falling into a dangerous trap that Andre has cunningly set up. This dramatic story is shaking all of Salem and the DiMera family. Tony's ruthless plan to reclaim DiMera Enterprises. Tony DiMera has harbored a long-term and ruthless plan to take back DiMera Enterprises from Xander Cook and Philip Kyriakis. What's notable is that Tony has never cared about his late father Stefano DiMera's business empire. For many years, he always tried to separate himself from the family's dirty business schemes and plots, happy with his soulmate wife Anna DiMera, and let his other siblings like Kristen, EJ, Stefan, and Chad fight for power. However, suddenly, Tony completely changed his attitude and showed extreme determination in reclaiming the family company at any cost. This change shocked many in the DiMera family, especially EJ and Chad. They all noted that Tony's current behavior is completely unlike his usual character, too ruthless, authoritarian, and abnormally power-hungry. To execute this ambitious plan, Tony approached Gabi Hernandez, who had a complicated relationship with the DiMera family through her previous marriage. He made an attractive offer. Gabi would help him gather intelligence on Xander and Philip, and in return, she would get complete control of Gabi Chic along with the CEO seat at DiMera Enterprises. This was a golden opportunity Gabi couldn't refuse, as she had long dreamed of holding supreme power at this corporation. Tony even agreed to put this agreement in official writing to make Gabi completely trust his promise. With the written guarantee, Gabi felt completely at ease and began executing her dangerous mission. Bold espionage tactics and shocking discovery. Gabi didn't hesitate to use every trick to infiltrate Xander and Philip's circle. She approached Xander cleverly, but got even closer to Philip, exploiting old relationships and familiarity to extract classified information. Gabi even hired Steve Johnson, a reputable private investigator in Salem, to investigate deeper into the Titan DiMera merger. However, what Gabi didn't know was that Tony had secretly contacted Steve and asked him to stop the investigation immediately. This was the first sign that Tony had his own schemes that Gabi couldn't grasp yet. Not discouraged by that obstacle, Gabi decided to act more boldly on her own. She secretly placed a pen containing a listening device right in Xander and Philip's office at the DiMera Enterprises building. This device quickly proved effective when Gabi overheard a crucial conversation between the Kyriakis brothers. They were discussing a letter allegedly from Victor Kyriakis, the deceased, but in reality, this was a forged letter they created to legitimize the Titan DiMera merger. This was the decisive evidence Tony needed to reverse the situation and reclaim control of the company. With this bombshell information in hand, Tony didn't hesitate but immediately used it as a powerful legal weapon. He threatened to file a lawsuit to completely break up the Titan DiMera merger, while publicly exposing Xander and Philip's fraudulent behavior before the entire Salem business community. This would not only humiliate both Kyriakis brothers, but also threaten to destroy the reputation of the entire Kyriakis family, one of Salem's wealthiest and most influential families. Maggie Horton Kyriakis, Victor's widow and someone trying to protect her late husband's legacy, was extremely angry and even directly confronted Tony, accusing him of acting like a cunning and evil person. Tony's victory and ruthless betrayal plot. After cornering the Kyriakis family, Tony gleefully declared that Titan had collapsed, and he would buy the company dirt cheap. This seemed to be Tony DiMera's resounding victory moment, and logically, Gabi, who played a key role in this success, should receive her deserved reward as promised. However, behind the scenes, Tony had secretly prepared a ruthless betrayal that Gabi couldn't imagine. He secretly invited his nephew Theo Carver, son of Abe Carver, and the late Lexi Carver, back to Salem under the pretense of participating in a special DiMera Enterprises project. Theo Carver, a talented young man with modern technology knowledge and fresh business vision, was very excited about Tony's offer. He told his father, Abe Carver, about this attractive job opportunity at DiMera Enterprises. However, Abe's reaction was completely opposite to his son's excitement. Abe, who knew well about the DiMera family's dark nature through many years as Salem's police commissioner, was extremely angry and strictly forbade Theo from accepting this position. Abe warned his son that the DiMeras are untrustworthy people who would exploit and then discard anyone when they're no longer needed. But despite his father's sincere advice, Theo still decided to accept Tony's offer, believing this was an opportunity to prove his capabilities. This behavior of Tony, insisting on pulling Theo into working for DiMera despite Abe's fierce opposition, is exactly like Andre DiMera's style rather than Tony's. What's concerning is that Tony didn't just simply invite Theo to work, but he planned to place Theo in the CEO position that rightfully should belong to Gabi. When Tony cryptically mentioned the rightful CEO will take over the company, he was clearly referring to Theo, not Gabi. Chad DiMera also voiced support for this idea, saying DiMera Enterprises needs a fresh perspective from a young leader with breakthrough ideas, not those who have rotated through the CEO seat in recent years. Gabi's painful shock and suspicions about Andre. To make room for Theo, Tony summoned Gabi to the DiMera mansion one afternoon. There, with a cold, emotionless tone, he informed Gabi that she had been fired from the CEO position. Despite Gabi playing an extremely important, even decisive role in Tony's victory over the Kiriakis family, he showed no hesitation in abandoning her ruthlessly. This was a move that strongly reflected the manipulative and cruel character typical of Andre DiMera, not the kind Tony everyone knew. Gabi was completely shocked and enraged when she realized she had been exploited and betrayed in the most ruthless way. She had trusted Tony's promise, risked everything to help him, and now she had nothing left but anger and a desire for revenge. Meanwhile, more and more people in Salem began suspecting that the Tony they were seeing was actually not the real Tony but Andre in disguise. There were many suspicious signs. First, Tony had completely changed his personality, from a gentle person who cared little about power to a ruthless, authoritarian person hungry for control. Second, Tony's way of dressing also changed. He started wearing all black, exactly Andre's style, instead of the diverse colored suits like before. Third, Tony's way of speaking also had many points similar to Andre's characteristic style of wordplay, full of violent implications yet still elegant. Especially when discussing the plan with Gabi, Tony said a very characteristic Andre phrase, "No, we don't fight fire with fire. We fight fire with arson." This further convinced people that this was Andre, not Tony. Even Anna DiMera, Tony's beloved wife, didn't notice this change, although she had been deceived by Andre before when he impersonated Tony. If it's really Andre, then he's doing an excellent job of impersonation, to the point where even the closest person can't detect it. Andre died in January 2018, when Abigail Devereaux accidentally hit him with an urn containing Tony's ashes. But in the Days of Our Lives world, death is never final. Andre had appeared again in 2022 as a servant of the devil when nephew Johnny DiMera was possessed by Satan. So could Andre have survived and is now executing a much more complex plan? Possibility of revenge and coming revelations. If Tony, or rather Andre, really betrayed Gabi by appointing Theo as CEO, the consequences could be very serious and lead to exposing all of Andre's deception. Gabi, with her unyielding nature, will certainly find a way to take revenge. She might seek help from Philip or Xander, confess her role as a spy, and propose cooperation to defeat Tony/Andre. Gabi's public confession that she spied for Tony could gain her support from the Kiriakis family, who were looking for every way to overthrow Tony and reclaim Titan. As for Theo, this young man may regret his decision to get involved in DiMera family drama once again, especially if the truth about Andre impersonating Tony is exposed. Theo has been hurt in the past by DiMera schemes, and this time he may become a victim in an even more dangerous trap. Abe Carver will certainly be extremely angry if he discovers his son has been exploited by the fake Andre. Moreover, if the Kiriakis family discovers Tony's true identity, they will have a powerful blackmail weapon in the battle to keep Titan DiMera. The biggest question now is, will Salem discover that Andre has been pulling all the strings before Gabi launches her counterattack? And if the person in Salem is really Andre, then where is the real Tony? Is he still alive or dead, or imprisoned somewhere? These questions will soon be answered in upcoming episodes. One thing is certain. Gabi will not let this go, and this ruthless betrayal could ignite a new power struggle, shaking the entire DiMera family and possibly revealing the darkest secrets of this family. Keep watching Days of Our Lives to see how Gabi Hernandez will take revenge, whether Theo Carver can escape this dangerous trap, and whether the truth about Andre DiMera will be exposed to all of Salem. Part 2. Days of Our Lives. Theo's bold move splits father and son. Abe's warning comes too late. In Days of Our Lives, history has a way of repeating itself, and for the Carver and DiMera families, that repetition often comes with heartbreak, pride, and betrayal. This week, a well-meaning decision by Theo Carver sets off a chain reaction that could reopen old wounds and reignite one of Salem's oldest rivalries. The day begins with an unexpected call from Tony DiMera. Always the diplomat of the DiMera clan, Tony asks Theo to meet him in Horton Square for an important conversation. As the autumn sun filters through the trees, Theo arrives, unsuspecting of the emotional storm that's about to unfold. Tony greets him warmly, his tone unusually gentle for a DiMera. He explains that DiMera Enterprises, the powerful family business known as much for its corporate triumphs as its moral scandals, is returning to DiMera hands after a turbulent period of instability. But this time, Tony insists things will be different. The company will have a new direction, one focused on ethical practices and community rebuilding. Theo listens carefully, his face calm but his eyes reflecting the cautious optimism of a man who has always believed in second chances. Tony then surprises him with a job offer, a leadership position that would place Theo in a unique position to bring honesty and compassion into a business long associated with manipulation and greed. Theo doesn't need long to consider. He accepts. To him, this is a chance not only to prove himself professionally, but to honor his late mother, Lexi Carver. A woman who spent her life torn between the dark legacy of her DiMera heritage and her devotion to doing good. But just as Tony's words sink in, another familiar figure steps into the square. Theo's father, Abe Carver. The mayor of Salem, a man of integrity and principle, Abe has weathered countless storms, from political scandals to personal heartbreak. He's devoted his life to justice, honesty, and family. At first, Abe smiles as he overhears part of the conversation. He assumes his son has finally found a promising new opportunity. But that smile quickly fades when Theo mentions the words, DiMera Enterprises. Absolutely not. Abe's voice cuts sharply through the calm square, echoing his shock and disappointment. Theo turns, startled but steady. Dad, listen. Tony has taken the company back. He wants to make things right. This is my chance to help rebuild the DiMera name, to do something good with it. Abe's face tightens, his frustration visible. Theo, you're being naive when it comes to your mother's family, he warns. The DiMeras don't change. They destroy everything they touch. But Theo, calm and resolute, stands his ground. You're wrong, Dad. Chad and Tony aren't like Stefano, EJ, or Kristen. They're trying to do things differently. I believe in that, and I want to be part of it. For a moment, the two men just stare at each other. A father clinging to the lessons of experience, and a son determined to carve his own path. Abe finally exhales, the weight of his fear pressing down on him. His son's conviction reminds him too much of Lexi. Strong, idealistic, and sometimes too trusting. As Theo walks away, Abe sinks onto a nearby bench, the realization of what just happened beginning to settle in. He has just watched his son walk straight into the arms of a family that nearly destroyed his wife. Moments later, Belle Black appears in the square, immediately sensing something is wrong. She's always had a knack for reading people, and Abe's expression tells her everything. Abe? She asks softly. What's happened? Abe hesitates before admitting the truth. Theo's taken a job with DiMera Enterprises. Belle's eyes widen in surprise. Oh no! That must have been hard for you. Abe nods grimly. Hard doesn't begin to cover it. I warned him, but he doesn't see it. He thinks Tony and Chad can change the company's legacy. But I fear my sons just made a deal with the devil. They sit together in the square, the soft hum of the town around them as Abe confides his worries. Belle listens patiently, reminding him that sometimes, no matter how much we want to protect our children, we have to let them make their own mistakes. You raised Theo to be thoughtful, responsible, and kind, she tells him gently. You have to trust that he'll make the right choices, even if he has to learn a few lessons the hard way. Abe gives a small, tired smile. You sound like a parent who's been through the same thing. Belle sighs. I have. Claire broke Theo's heart once, and I thought I could fix it. But I learned that we can't live our children's lives for them. We can only be there when they need us. The two share a moment of quiet understanding. Both know the pain of watching the next generation take risks that seem destined to fail. Yet both also recognize that growth only comes through experience, even painful ones. As the conversation draws to a close, Abe glances toward the direction Theo went, a deep sadness in his eyes. I just wish Lexi were here, he says softly. She'd know what to say to him. She always did. Belle reaches over, resting a comforting hand on his arm. She'd be proud of you, Abe, and proud of Theo too. He's trying to honor her in his own way. Abe nods, but the worry doesn't leave his face. In Salem, good intentions have a way of leading down dangerous paths, especially when the name DiMera is involved. As the sun sets over the square, one can't help but wonder, will Theo's belief in the DiMera's redemption truly lead to change, or is Abe right to fear that his son has stepped too close to the darkness that once consumed his mother's family? One thing is certain, the battle between faith and fear, light and legacy, is far from over. And for the Carvers, this may just be the beginning of another heartbreaking chapter.